Book your driving lesson now at dla-driving.co.uk. Sponsored by DLA Driving School.
Hello and welcome to Oh in the Town. I'm Luke Gregory and here's what's coming up today. Stoke come to town and take all 3 points. A very frustrating afternoon at Kenilworth Road. Were Stoke time wasting? Maybe we were just poor for another time this season. Today we discuss the Stoke defeat in more detail and take a look at Gabriel Osho. How has he started the season? Do you think he's one of the most underrated players in the squad at the moment? Can you see a positive future for him at Luton Town? And we also answer a few Instagram questions and plenty more. And as always on a Monday night, we've got Dave and Bataro with us.
Evening.
Evening, boys.
Hello.
Evening.
Before we start, it was announced the other day, there's a very special podcast coming next week.
Yeah.
Mick Harford on Oh in the Town next Monday. It's an hour-long episode. Bataro was a bit starstruck at the time.
Here we go.
Dave smashed it for the first half an hour. Me and you were just sat here like doing absolutely nothing. But it's a really good listen, isn't it?
It's brilliant, in all fairness. Admittedly, you say about obviously starstruck. Dave, more so, I would say.
Come on.
Dave, you were loving it, mate. Oh, yeah, I've been watching, growing up watching you, Mick. No, joking. But no, it was brilliant.
Well, actually, I probably did say that, if I'm honest. He's a legend, and we're so delighted to have him
Give
talk to us.
The people listening right now one reason to listen to Mick Harford next week on the podcast.
Because Mick Harford. I mean, forget us, we're shite, but Mick Harford.
Hey, the way he spoke about the club, the way he spoke about the cup finals, the way he spoke about motivating his players was amazing. Yeah, just have a listen. He was a good guy. Really enjoyed the chat.
He knows how to chat as well. He keeps the conversation going.
And he was funny as well, wasn't he?
Basically, he was good.
He was funny as well. Really, really pleasure to speak to him. And I can't wait for you all to see it.
It's a really good podcast and it will be out available to listen to and watch on YouTube and your podcast app next Monday. I'll have a word with producer Jacob.
Let me be on there as well. Let me be on there as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
You weren't selfish this time.
No, sorry, mate. I'll have a word with producer Jacob and we'll get a time sorted. Anyway, Luton 0, Stoke 1. This wasn't what we wanted over the weekend. It was I said to you earlier, it feels like we never do a podcast after a win because also we only do a podcast on a Monday. We don't do a midweek one, and we figured out we've only won two home Saturday games, three Saturday games. I think we've won this season, which is not that many. So
if you're not careful, people will be calling us jinxes.
We're here again after another Saturday defeat, and this time it's to Stoke. 3-word reviews. Ad says we move on. Dicko says lacking any quality. Sparky says just consistently inconsistent. Louis says sideways and backwards. Rob, time-wasting masterclass. Dave says dreadful tactics, costly. Craig says Stoke fans obsessed. Charlie, Wickham in disguise. And Toby says glad Campbell's back. Guys, I was at work. I didn't see the game, so I'm going to need a little bit of help today. But
go on, Dave. You start us off then.
Right, if we look at these... time wasting masterclass, absolutely. They controlled the game. They managed the game very, very well. At every point, they had a chance of slowing down. So I agree with that. Lacking any quality. I think both sides lacked a bit of quality, didn't they, on the day?
To be fair to Stoke, obviously, don't get it wrong. By all means, they weren't a great side to watch or whatever else, but they did a job. And like I said Saturday, right, we weren't at our best. But we weren't bad either. So I think any criticism towards us is a bit harsh. Okay, we could have done better in certain areas, but look, sideways and backwards there, for example. I think it was only sideways and backwards because Stoke made us play that way. They dictated how we played and we weren't clever enough. So, no. But yeah, look, it's nothing to be too downhearted about, but...
Stoke's gameplay ruined the game. As well as the official ruined the game.
You have to appreciate that, though, from the
Stoke's point of view, of course. Yeah. I mean, if it was us getting a 1-0 that way, you'd be going, brilliant. We battled it out and we did what we had to do.
And this is the thing as well. If Stoke are 0-0, maybe to like the 70th minute, maybe then they do go a bit more expansive to try and get another goal. And maybe that then suits us more to go ahead and get the goal. But when you're 1-0 down after, 25 minutes, was it? 30 minutes?
Was it that early?
I think I'm a little bit early, I think. I'm not too sure. But when you are 1-0 down, you're giving Stoke the opportunity just to shut up shop and go, well, we'll come in, we'll put everyone behind the ball, we'll time waste, and so you said, you just got to say fair play. You can't be sitting there and getting bitter about it. And
like Rob says, time wasting masterclass as well.
Yeah.
Play the game, don't they? I mean, we haven't seen it for a year or two, especially like say Wickham. I mean, it used to happen, didn't it? Back in the conference as well and whatever else. But it's very rare you see, not very rare, sorry, I'll take that back, but it's more, I say it's more, a little bit more rare these days. You see it in the Championship,
but
with teams time wasting and, trying to play the game management. But, game management is part of football, so we have to get on with it.
And then again, it just shows how far we've come as a football club that a team as Stoke would claim are 10 times bigger than Luton would come to us and have to do that to grind out the win. But
it's almost a form of respect in lack of respect at the same time. That makes sense. But no, you're right. Like you say, like how many teams used to come to Luton, like in the Championship, for example, and try and do that. Not many teams.
Stoke fans are a little bit obsessed with us at the moment. I know Mike from Luton News got a load of Stoke fans on the end of his tweet full time the other day. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them found this and.
Hey, look, if it was us playing that way, you go, what a great way to earn a point. It's just frustrating when I wouldn't want to watch that every week. That would do my head in.
And I heard a few people say that behind me as well.
Yeah, how can you watch that every week? You just can't.
But at the same time, Dave, they get promoted from it, or if we was to get promoted by doing it, we would take it. So
and if they end up going up, playing that way, good luck to them in the Premier League.
They'll get fisted.
Just on that though, you say you wouldn't want to watch it every. I'm sure.
I want to win every week.
Not like that every week though for Stoke.
Well, I'm just saying I wouldn't want to watch it every week.
If
their game plan every time they go away is to manage the game the way they did, and to
but when you're winning,
well,
there's not a lot wrong with that, I think.
I'm sorry to say, but even before they were winning, they were doing stuff like that.
Can I just say as well? I've watched like a few times this season, last season as well, under O'Neill. I'll tell you what, nothing really changes. It's very good game management from from their point of view, his point of view, their point of view. They've always done it. All right, yeah, it's not always exactly the same, but I'll tell you what, they don't play attractive football. I've never seen it.
No, it wasn't attractive football, and at times it was like they had a sniper in the main stand shooting their players because they were going down for no reason and just lying there. But we've seen it before. You're right. Game management. I can't say more than that.
But this will make us better though in the long run. Seeing things like this, and when it happens to Luton players themselves, they'll learn from this. So we'll take it.
Should we talk about the game? 2 changes from the midweek win over Middlesbrough. Campbell and Bell. Good to see Campbell back in after that injury against Blackburn. Potts didn't have the best game against Middlesbrough, did he? I know it was like back for the first time in a while for him, and maybe he's not fully ready or game ready yet, but it was good to see Bell back in as well. Maybe Lansbury we could have missed Lansbury a bit, obviously, that suspension. But when you look at their first goal, it is a carbon copy nearly of the Middlesbrough one midweek.
Pretty much, yeah.
Why are we conceding this type of goal 2 times in a row?
Well, you shouldn't. That's the first thing. You shouldn't concede the same type of goal 2 times in a row like that. It was a carbon copy almost.
It was quite easy as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you know what? The most annoying thing was it was their only shot on target.
Yeah,
that was it.
That.
I did see Stoke did a tweet about the goal, and this is the way I saw the goal. It said like 16 passes in the build-up or whatever it was. The question I think we should be looking at here is the fault. You can say there's no fault in this, but do we need to stop the cross, or do the centre-halves need to be defending in the box better? Because that's twice now in 2 games it's happened where it's a free tap-in for that centre-forward in the box. Why is it happening?
It's neither one nor the other. Basically what it is, it's... Obviously, look at me. Basically what it is, I'm telling you.
You're telling me. That's what I want to know the answer, mate.
Basically, right, I'm pretty sure you ask anybody, right, and we'll say the same thing. It's not just stopping the cross. It's not just the position from the centre-halves. It's everything. The whole build-up to that goal was shocking. The shape of the back four and the midfield, for example, was terrible. How are you knocking a ball in behind like that with no one pressing? I think Pelly was the last man back trying to stop the cross.
I did watch it back and think...
Which done a fucking awful job about. But
Pelly could have got a bit tighter.
Yeah, but nothing against him. The whole team for that goal. Why is he in that position in the first place? Terrible. And then the ball gets whipped in again. Who's picking up Brown? Who's with Brown? No one. I'm sure Sonny or Naismith or whoever should have been picking them up.
When you look back at the replay, it was Burke and Naismith who were closest to him. So I don't know if it's one of them guys that have let him go, but...
Well, not close enough.
Well, we've got a back three there. Obviously, the closest one of the back three goes towards the ball, I suppose, and, covers that sort of that area in the 10-yard slot or whatever. But who is there, like you say, like Burke and Naismith?
Yeah.
No one's there. But, I mean, for that to happen, the press... I mean, Campbell's press was phenomenal the whole game, can we just say? But the press from the whole team there, where was it? It was non-existent. Absolutely shocking, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think you could say on that whole move, the midfield let us down a bit. To get, you need to stop that run earlier, don't you? You need to stop that ball earlier.
When you're knocking balls in like that, it's too easy as well, in behind.
It was I suppose if you look at Stoke's play there, it's the one moment of quality they had. But... probably dependent on us being a little bit under par.
100%. I mean, also another thing as well, right? Obviously, where I was sitting behind the goal, obviously in Kenilworth, right? Romain Sawyers was pulling our strings, or pulling their strings, should I say, and whatever else, but we couldn't get close to him. He had far too much time on the ball. Even Fletcher was dropping into spaces. Like, how are you letting this guy pick up the ball in them areas? Like I said, the midfield three. I've said it all season. I still don't think the midfield is our strongest. I think it's our weakest point. Realistically, I think our midfield is the weakest point. But, look, maybe that's due to tactics, the way we play and how we play football, but there should never be that much space in behind, especially in the middle of the park. And there's so much gap for manoeuvrability for the opposition. And I don't know, I don't understand it, but obviously I'm not a football coach, so. But I'm sure if you watch it back, I don't know if you see it, it gets knocked in behind. It gets knocked in behind. Well, I'm saying in general, right?
Yeah.
In behind the midfield every single time, it gets knocked in. And I just don't know. It happens every single time we concede a goal. But look, it's not a negative point. Well, it is a negative point, but it's not too negative because we can't get too down about it. Because look, we're having a great season still.
The reality is, though, if you're going to give players in the Championship that much time to cross the ball, and you put and a player like Sawyers puts in a ball like that, it's begging for a tap in from. Again, another decent striker.
Like you say, quality as well pays off sometimes.
Yeah.
I get that one shot on target, like you said, Dave.
Yeah, one shot on target,
and that is
and that's it, goes in.
All it takes. I think they had one shot on target the other week against Hull or whoever it was, and they won again.
But that's
one shot on target.
But so we'd say you can win ugly, and as much as you want, you can win ugly. And if it was us, we'd want to win ugly. We just want to win, right?
Of course it is.
But it wasn't an entertaining game at all. And I think that Stoke's game management contributed to our lack of any force in the game at some point.
Jacob says it. Luton never really got in control of the game. Stoke kept having all the attacks.
Well, do you know what? All I remember is that they had one attack and it scored. I thought we was holding them up quite well to begin with. I didn't think they was overly dominant.
Your face.
Sorry. I'm just trying to look on here. What did you say about what Jacob said? What? Sorry.
Producer Jacob says Luton never got in control of the game, and Stoke kept having all the attacks.
I wouldn't have said that second.
Call
half.
him out,
Jacob. Fuck you.
Oh no!
I'm joking, mate. No. I'm joking. But seriously, I thought first half. Admittedly, we weren't great, and you know what? Fair enough to them.
Neither team were great. Neither team were great in the first half.
I didn't say second half. No. Admittedly, I'm not saying we were great, but what I'm saying is second half. I would have said it was all us pretty much without causing real effect on the game.
We out creating anything really open.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you that.
The odd couple of half chances or whatever we had.
Yeah, the first
half, admittedly, yeah, you can give it to him. But I wouldn't say the whole game. I think that's a bit too far-fetched there.
I wouldn't have been surprised if it was 0-0 or 1-0 or 1-1 at half time. It wouldn't have, it was one of them games.
It was just like who's going to dominate? No one, really.
Yeah, no one, no.
We hit the crossbar in the second half.
Oh, God.
That Moscow, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened there? Like I said, I haven't seen the highlights back. What happened?
It was at your end. You had a better view than I did.
I saw it. It looked like he sort of, I don't know, like he jumped and all of a sudden his neck sort of like bent backwards. And just all of a sudden he's got, I don't know, but and hit the crossbar. I don't know. Maybe the wind caught it up. I don't know. I'm not too sure.
I've read a lot of comments saying it would have been harder to hit the crossbar than it would to hit the back of a net. But from my view, it wasn't clear. It just looked like it had a good chance, and he didn't take it as you wanted him to. That's how I felt.
Yeah, in all fairness, it was sitting up for him, but well, obviously from where I was sitting.
You see, that goes in though. That goes in. The game changes again, doesn't it? And we come away with a point minimum.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we really looked like troubling them after that.
Not really.
I can't remember any other clear-cut chances.
We had ample opportunities to get the ball in the area with open free crosses and whatever else, and especially Bree. I love the guy, but his delivery was absolutely fucking terrible on Saturday as well. How many times get that ball in the box? He wasn't the only one. I think Bell did it a few times. I know we could blame Wynn to a certain degree, but come on, lads. You know what I mean? You got a free hit to put that ball in the box, pick someone out, or just put it in a good area. And we're whipping it fucking behind or slicing it behind for a goal kick every time. What's going on?
Yeah, disappointing, isn't it?
But look, it's an off day. We can't be too, like I said, can't be too downhearted about it. We got to, they need to lift themselves up. I'm sure Nathan's getting them going and whatever else. But look, like I said, good season so far. We can't make this too negative. We're all sitting here a bit glum, aren't we?
You can't. I think you can't look over the fact also that our was he a Premier League referee? Like he should be in the conference.
It was Moss.
Yeah.
I saw him give that yellow for Campbell when he won the ball.
Yeah, wow.
Awful. But he was awful the whole game. It wasn't just one incident. It was several. He stopped the flow of the game. He was giving free kicks when their bench called for him, basically. There was a couple of times where nothing would have happened. The shout goes up and he blows his bloody whistle. He was awful. He stopped the flow of the game as much as bloody Stoke did. And listen, you can't blame the ref for our defeat, but he was, for me, party to it.
Allowed it as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he was awful. God-awful referee. God-awful.
I guess, really, at the end of the day, we're going to lose games, and losing at home to Stoke. Losing to Stoke, look, like we said earlier, and I think I said this before the game on Saturday, I was like, not even that confident. We just never seem to get a result against Stoke.
And I said exactly the same thing to you. For the fact, probably, I always say, I'm always confident about anything. I think we can compete anyone. But, Stoke is always one that I look at and go, we're going to are we going to do it this time? Maybe not. I don't know. I just feel like Stoke have got Nathan Jones' card marked a little bit here.
It'd be really interesting to see the teams we've done the best against in the Championship since we've been back and the teams we've struggled. Because I'd say Stoke were probably top of the ones we've struggled against.
Well, we haven't beaten them yet, have we?
We had that one draw when Colo equalised in the last minute before lockdown.
Yep.
Lost 3-0 at their place twice in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Lost 2-0 last season behind closed doors.
But there's always a chance that we might beat them. There's always a chance. If you play to our strengths, we play as well as we can play. Again, if we can manage our game against them better than we did this time.
We won against Warner, didn't we, during the week? So, yeah.
So there isn't any logical reason we can't beat them.
Exactly. So, people go on obviously the whole superstition thing, or you can't win because there's certain teams or certain whatever. But no, of course it's bollocks. But
we've struggled to beat Cardiff since we've been back.
Millwall was the one. If you look back on the Millwall game, you go, hang on, we've gone obviously there to their place and won.
Do you think?
And you think that's probably that was the biggest thing I think for us. We broke the duck, like Millwall kind of thing.
Yeah, but
we could have done it against Stoke.
Do you think psychologically that really helps? We go to Wickham and we've not lost up there. And do you think psychologically Wickham go, oh bloody hell, Luton have come in. There's no way we're going to win. Do you think that's how we set out our stall Saturday? I don't think so. I just think they outmanaged the game. They didn't play that much better than we did.
I was going to say, if you're going to look at that and that sort of area, and you go, oh yeah, what? Because obviously we haven't, like say for Wickham, for example, but I'm sure you go into a game knowing that, you haven't lost there or however many years you haven't lost at a certain ground or whatever.
Yeah, because
certain nerves creeping as well.
When you say my attitude would be, bloody hell, we haven't lost there for ages, we're due to lose.
Yeah.
That's how I'd look at it. So
I do think players and staff will be aware of stats like that as well.
Yeah, but
100%.
But do you think that it would psychologically affect them that bad that they would play worse?
I don't know.
Yeah, bloody hell, they're here again. Oh, we can't afford to lose, so they play worse. I think it would probably try and push them on, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, of course, but I just think look, obviously the way Stoke set up, the way they obviously they scored early and whatever else, and they went on then to defend. I'd say in the second half, I definitely said they went on to defend the game, and we took it more to them than they did us without really causing any problems.
True.
But what I'm saying is, they wouldn't have done that last season or the season before that. So that I think that proves to us how good we are as a side. They show us a little bit more respect nowadays. Well, and they know they have to defend, then they have to set up a midfield of 5 or whatever else.
And then go down clutching your face and rolling around and
but it kills the game.
Totally killed the game.
Yeah, they killed the game off. We can cope with that.
It was a 1-0 defeat. It was the second defeat in 3 games.
Don't go on them stats, Greg, mate. Come on.
Or if you let me finish, I can say, well, you said like 2 defeats in 10, but
yeah, exactly.
Or whatever it was. But I guess we just need to learn how to break teams like this down. And at the end, because you'll sit there and say, if we could just sort problems like that out, we'd be fighting for automatic promotion, which is unrealistic. So sometimes I think as a football club, we just got to remember where we are, and the players we have aren't the same level as a Fulham or a West Brom or a Bournemouth, and that we are just going to lose games. It's just the reality of the Championship, isn't it?
Mate, look at some of the bigger teams, the bigger clubs, the so-called bigger clubs in that league.
Sheffield United struggling.
Games. Exactly.
Oh. Anyway, we want to focus on Gabriel Osho. Gabe Osho. How do you rate his performances this season? Is he the most underrated player at the club? What have you made of Osho's performances so far this season?
I think he's played very well at times. I wouldn't say completely. But look, the guy's still young. He hasn't really been given the chance at this level often. But I still think he needs a lot of work to be done.
He did a job though, didn't he? At the start of the season, he played a massive role in them first, I don't know, 6 games or whatever he played in a row. And he looked pretty good, to be fair to him.
He made some quality blocks on Saturday.
Oh, especially that one on the
field. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
brilliant.
So yeah, I think it's exciting that you're developing a player in this way.
He's still young as well, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So I think you can't knock him.
Where do you see his best position? Because he's started a bit in that central defensive mid role, didn't he? And I guess he can play centre half, and he was brought in as a centre half.
I think he knows he's a central holding midfielder. I think he's not compared himself, but he's likened his style to, which is a bit far fetched, to Casemiro. Not in those words, but he wants to play like that. So therefore, if you want to play like someone like Casemiro, who's a holding midfielder, one of the best in the world, then obviously he fancies himself for that position. So, I mean, good luck to him, but he does need quite a bit of work to be fair to him.
But then again, he's still a youngster, isn't he?
Yes, but look, someone with that much talent and he needs a lot of work. Not a lot of work, but he'll get it right. But he needs to focus on sometimes staying a bit more calmer, because I think he does rush into things sometimes, and sometimes his passing, his passing as well. But his decision making sometimes, when he turns into trouble too much. That's the only thing I can really fault him about, but nothing really against him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to have him in there. I mean, him or Glenn Ray. I mean, to keep Glenn Ray out or Campbell, whoever else in that midfield. He's obviously doing a decent enough job. He's agile, he's athletic. So good luck to the boy. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can sort of agree with that. It's nice to have a developing player, because that's what he is, isn't it, really? He's developing, and he can only get better.
And we didn't know too much about him last season. He's never really, because he didn't give him a chance, but I mean, we all like him. It's not like we look at him and go, oh, fuck's sake, Osho's in the team. We never look at it like that. We always look and go, oh, I wonder what he's going to do today. Yeah, sometimes he's inconsistent, but he's still young. Like we said, he's still learning. He's nowhere near his peak yet.
And I know
he's still learning that role.
We mentioned this on the podcast quite recently about how we compare our team now to what it was when we got promoted to the Championship. And you think, like, to come a long way to actually have young, exciting prospects in your team like Osho, like Adebayo, and plenty more. But you compare that to when we come up and we were having like Alan Sheehan. Love Alan Sheehan, no disrespect to him at all. But
yeah, it's a completely different set of players.
It's a different set of players. It is like Callum McManaman and these players that you look at and they were maybe at an age where you think you're not going to develop more of us and become. But these youngsters we have now have that opportunity to become top Championship, maybe Premier League players.
And they're players as well that you look at, or people looked at and went, "Oh, who are these players? They're unproven or whatever else." But they're starting to prove themselves now, and they're starting to prove why that not taking the chance on them, but why they're getting given the opportunity. For example, which makes perfect sense, because, like you say, you want to progress your own players from within, or if you get youngsters in, like you say, and just keep growing them in the club. And I think that's what we need to do. But yeah, like you say, obviously with your McManamans and your whoever else,
Lloyd Jones. Do you remember we had Lloyd Jones centre half in that first season? As like us, and it's just like we've come such a long way now to be having the players we have as backup as well. It's
some of these youngsters that we bring in, or the new players we're bringing in, are at sort of like that point in their career where they got a lot to prove and they can move on. They come to Luton because they know Luton develop players well, and we sent a lot of players to the Premier League, so they have ambition and they want to show that ambition. They can only improve, surely.
In the next 10 minutes, we've got a really nice discussion that I'm really excited to talk to you guys about. So. Stick around for that.
Is it about football? Or?
Is it a Christmas party?
No. It's football. It's related to Luton. So
I was going to say, you're not going to do anything stupid, are you?
No, it's a nice chat. So it's an interesting chat, which me and Jacob, producer Jacob, had a phone call earlier when we were discussing the podcast, and he asked me what I thought, and he didn't agree. So I'll be interested to see what you two think. Okay. So 5 minutes, and we'll get into that. This is what you guys say about Gabriel Osho. Ian says, I believe he is one of the most underrated players of the club. Getting his chance now, though, and taking it. He does the unsung stuff like blocks, tackles and headers that don't always get raved about. Unless you Luke Bataro loves to rave about like a block or a header from Sonny Bradley.
Hey.
Gary says he is one lovely lad and will be a massive star hopefully for us in the future. Learning his trade but has fantastic potential.
Yeah, exactly that. He's learning his trade and has fantastic potential, which we see. Obviously he needs sort of like certain edges smoothed out a little bit. But look, massive potential there. Agreed.
Sultan says decent, but can be a bit too aggressive at times. He could be a very strong player and could challenge Ray for a starting position. It's good to have that competition for Ray, though, isn't it? In that central defensive mid role. I
think we got three, 4 players that maybe play that position, but like you say, between him and Ray, if you want to play a holding midfielder, it's going to be them two, isn't it? But 100%. I mean. Strong player, obviously, can be too aggressive at times, but sometimes that aggression gets him into them positions or to those.
The more he starts, the stronger he'll become, the better he'll become. And the players around him will know what he does more.
Adam says he's not the most underrated player, but he's definitely got potential. Don't think I'd name him in my starting 11 every week.
Yeah, I agree. He's still young.
What's it going to take to name him in your starting 11 every week? If you can't see his potential and you can't see how he's playing, I just... at what point do you say, right, I'm going to give him a chance and start him?
Yeah, but this is just a question then, as you say, name your starting strongest 11. Is he in it? Probably not. And that's no disrespect to Osho.
No, I get that.
I
get that, but at what point do you start him?
Well, when he does everything right every week.
Well, you won't be able to see that. If he comes on for 20 minutes or whatever, you might not see that.
No, but look at the way we've seen him this season, though, for example. We've seen him, start, I think, 4 or 5 games. And the rest, he's sort of like bit part.
Yeah.
You don't want to play him. Look, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a football manager, clearly. But,
You're not?
Funny enough, I know I got Forest Green promoted from the conference that time, but I'm football manager, suited on everything in the bedroom, but don't worry about that. But what I'm saying is, right, that's true, by the way, Dave. I was only about 14. Anyway,
24, you mean?
24 was I? I might have been actually. Yeah, I can't fucking count. But
get to your point.
What was I saying anyway? About Osho. Yeah.
You're too busy football manager.
I know.
Should I read Tyler's comment?
Yes.
Tyler says, good on the ball, but I'd like to see him turn in the midfield a bit more because his passes are normally back to defensive areas. Is that what you, pretty much what you said earlier about is him like needing a bit more agile? Or
no, it's not the agility thing for me that's the problem. Okay. It's the decision making.
Yeah, well, that's sort of basically the same thing. Anyway.
Well, agility and decision making. I don't know, one's your brain, one's your body. But no, okay, yeah, fair enough.
No, not agility, but the same thing he's trying to say. He's good on the ball, but in his decision making is.
I think he rushes things at the moment too much. He panics. That's what I was getting at. But what I was about to say about before Football Manager or whatever, but I can't remember now.
No.
There's a really good point in my head as well.
I'm so sorry.
Absolutely gone now as well.
Just quit. Just gone off.
All I can see now is me, a fat 14-year-old me, sitting in a bedroom watching Forest Green on my laptop.
Oh, what a
and
thought.
My grandma will know exactly what I'm on about because she used to fucking sit there with a broom. Shut the fuck up, man.
All right, should we get into some Instagram questions and discuss the point that I was excited to talk to you guys about?
If we have to.
All right, James says, this is not a question, but Mick said to someone I know we would be lucky to keep Adebayo after January.
Wow.
What are your thoughts?
I wouldn't be surprised if he went to a Premier League team.
Really?
Yeah. I told you before, I think he's that good. And he will be that good.
I think if he's going to go, if that happens, then we have to really boss a fee for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I was chatting to...
is that not why Nathan James was saying the other day you have to have one hell of a check?
Exactly.
But he kept reiterating it. He kept absolutely making the point as well, which to me spells out that, people are hunting for him already.
When I was on the phone to producer Jacob Elliott, and he asked me this, and he was like, "Do we include it in the podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's include this." Because I was like, he won't go in January. Not a chance he'll go in January. And Jacob was like, "Well, you never know." And I was like, if someone is coming in from in January, they have to pay 20 mil. I was like, if I was Luton, I think to Luton he'd be worth 20 mil. And Jacob was like, "Well, I don't think he's worth 20 mil, more like 10 mil. I was like, but to Luton, they don't need to sell him.
Admittedly, but then it comes down to player as well, doesn't it? Personal.
Actually, to be fair, if you think back to our conversation with the big man himself, it's agents run players' lives. It's agents that will tout the people around. And if his agent's looking at him going, look what he's done in Luton in this very short space of time, and he approaches the right club, they'll take him. But who's he going to go to in the Premier League? He won't be.
He wouldn't get a Premier League move in January.
But if he did, it wouldn't be a top team, would it? It wouldn't be one. It'd be one of the ones scrapping down the bottom.
It would be like a Brentford, but
yeah, and not even one of those that possibly will come back down to the Championship, where it'd be more use for them eventually.
I think Elijah's clever enough to know that if he stays at Luton,
for a couple more seasons,
a better chance of progressing straight into a Premier League team he can hit the ground running then. Yeah. Because let's be honest,
he needs a full season as well.
He does need a full season. And he's got so much still to offer, I think. How much do you think he's worth, though? Because this is the question I said. And I said to producer Jacob earlier, I just said, in January, let's say Brentford come knocking for Elijah Adebayo in January, how much do you say he's worth?
I don't like putting figures on things like that.
I say 20 mil.
How much did they pay for Tony?
10.
There you go. That's what we want then.
No. £80 million. 80 million.
They're not going to pay that.
Do you know why?
It's not.
Because no one will pay £80 million for him. And that's fucking great because we're going to keep him.
I know, but how much would you accept for him?
Well, how much do you think he's rated in comparison to other strikers in the leagues and whatever else? If you were to compare prices, I mean, I don't know because it obviously doesn't come out to contract and all that sort of shit.
Wasn't when Brentford nabbed Tony, wasn't he the top scorer in the league? Wasn't he banging? One. Yeah, and
that was in League One, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was in League One, though.
Exactly, League One, and he's worth 10 mil. Yeah. You think? I honestly believe at the moment you could put Elijah in like West Brom's team or Bournemouth's team, and he'd be brilliant for him.
But they're not going to splash out that sort of cash for him.
Here you go. Here's a little thing for you. Carlin Grant at West Brom. He was worth quite a lot of money, wasn't he?
Yeah.
How much was he worth? Do you know exactly?
It was over 10, wasn't it?
Well, it must. I think it was. Yeah, but he's a lot better than Carlin Grant, in my opinion. All right, different kind of players and
that's it. And then you're paying for age. You're paying for potential. Yeah,
but you'll also be using a fee with a sell-on or a development clause in it that will pay you more. So the initial fee wouldn't be that large.
I actually said to someone the other day at work, I said that we was chatting about young players and whatever else. And I said in comparison to James Justin, I said, no, it's a completely different position. I said, but Adebayo, I said, if James Justin went for, I think it was 12 to 14 million pound or whatever it was. I think it was 12 actually, wasn't it?
It was 8 made you rising.
I think it was 8 then plus 4 million in add-ons, I think.
Right.
But he was a 12. Complete player by then.
Yeah, well, yeah, admittedly. But what I was saying was, obviously, he only played League One level at that point.
But he was still...
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong, he jumped up and he's done it, whatever else. But I said if he was worth £12 million, everyone knows how much a striker's worth these days.
Yeah.
And a striker of, a complete forward is hard to come by. And I just turned around and said, if he went for £12 million, James Justin, Max or whatever, with all the add-ons, I'm pretty sure Adebayo could go for at least 16. That's what I said. That's 16 plus. All right. I don't think people will pay that, like you say, in January, but end of the season, if he scores 20 plus goals, or even scores 15, 18 goals and gets, 6 assists or something like that, that's not bad going.
I'd love to hear what you guys think. How much, if, let's say, for example...
We're not selling him, though.
But let's say, for example, in January, someone come in for him, what would you accept for him? What would you accept? Because I would say nothing less than 20 mil if someone come for him in January. If Norwich City in January said, Luton, here's 20 mil, we'll take Elijah, I'll say.
Yeah, no worries. Give us Teemu Pukki as well.
Straight swap.
I think
20 mil on Pukki.
20, but yeah, of course.
I think you've got to weigh up.
I'd just be interested to hear what people
You've got to
think.
weigh up, what you're going to lose against the fee that you're going to get, because the fee
it's replacement as well, isn't it?
Who do you replace him with?
Well, how much would you accept for him?
Do you know, I find it very difficult to talk about values of players. I really do.
Why? Just say 20 mil.
All right, 20 mil
fucking
then.
hell, 2 Twixes and a packet of crisps. There you go.
No, but seriously, if we let him go for 20 mil, who do you go and get? And how? And another club knows that we've got 20 mil. How much is it going to cost us to get a different striker? You've got to weigh all that up, haven't you?
Here's another thing as well, right? Mitrovic, why has no one snapped him up again? I know he's played in the Prem before, but he's scored like a record amount of goals as well. I know he's 30 years of age or whatever. But he's scoring like 1-2 goals every game.
He's ridiculous.
I genuinely think if he does get moved on this quick, it'll be down to his agent wanting to make a pretty penny out of it. And they can get a good salary in the Premier League. It doesn't matter if you're playing for a bottom half table, you get a good salary. But so it depends what he wants to do. Does he want to develop his career?
I think he does.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we know what Adebayo is about. He seems like a genuine bloke. He's not, he's grounded.
Yeah,
he looks very grounded.
He's not been with us long enough to go.
Yeah, and you look at the kind of character he is, the way he speaks, everything about him. He's very, he's down to earth.
But you could go to Norwich.
Doesn't look like dick.
But he could go to Norwich and be in the Championship next season. Yeah. Or he could wait another season with us, have another tremendous season. We might get promoted, we might not. And then end up in a more mid-table Premier League team, or pushing towards the top.
Or we might do a swap deal for KDH.
Oh.
There you go.
I don't think we have to worry about it. It's just, I'd really thank you, James, to that point, because I just thought it did create a nice little interesting discussion point on. Unfortunately, these two don't want to discuss values or something because they hate talking about values. So
it's not that. It's just very, like you say, Dave. It's very difficult, isn't it, to discuss values? I mean, we could sit here and go, "Yeah, he's going to have 30 million."
Well, I'll have a discussion with our YouTube comments and our Twitter comments. And
you do that,
yeah. How much do you think he's worth, Elijah Adebayo?
Priceless.
Well, at the moment,
everyone's got a price tag though.
Well, of course they have, but
£20 an hour, but no one fucking takes me up on it.
You say everyone has the price tag. You're like, we don't need to sell him.
Exactly. So that's why the price tag is going to be even higher.
So the price tag is whatever we want to ask for him.
Exactly.
And if they're not willing to make that, in the same way that when Man City wanted to sign your man from Tottenham,
Kane.
Oh, yeah, and they said, well, it's 100 million. They didn't pay it.
Well, exactly. That's what I mean.
Exactly. So you can do the same.
That's why I said to you, what's the least you'd accept?
But I don't know, because I'm not in charge of the club, am I? There is a point at which someone at the club, Gary Sweet, Nathan Jones, or whoever, is going to sit there and go, well, if this offer comes in at this rate,
what figure will that be?
£35 million.
Okay, that's all I wanted was a figure.
But I don't
happy now. Thanks, guys.
But that's it, isn't it? There is a point at which money will go, do you know what? As much as we love this player, the money's going to take him away. Mm-hmm. Then as long as we use some of that money, if not all of that money, to reinvest in the squad, then, it's a good deal, isn't it?
Well, let's hope it's not for another couple of years at least.
Oh, look, he's one of our he's one of our most exciting prospect players at the moment.
He's unreal, isn't he?
Yeah, and it's great, and he's developing, and he's enjoying his time at Luton. Why would he want to go?
And it's good to see that people are, referencing him back to, or referring him, to Ivan Toney, a newer age Ivan Toney, which, I said that to you.
I heard that in the post-match the other day, actually. And I was like...
Yeah.
But also, why would he give up playing every week for us and sitting on the bench for half a game, half a season?
I don't think he would. I honestly think that he would stay with us to at least next season. At least.
Well, let's hope he does.
He's not silly. He knows, where his bread's buttered. He knows what side it is. And I think for him personally, I'm not even just saying this either. Obviously, we're biased with Luton fans, but I think for his career, he needs to stay with a team.
Yeah, 100%.
Like us, to progress.
Well, let us know your thoughts in the comments below on YouTube, or if you're on social media, get us on Twitter or Instagram, Owen the Town. That's it from us today for a good couple of weeks. We get a nice little break for the international break, but Owen the Town doesn't stop because we've got Mick Harford on next week, in case you missed it earlier.
Yeah, don't miss it.
Mick Harford, hour-long podcast next Monday night. Producer Jacob's going to arrange a time with me and we'll let you know on Twitter. And then we're sorted. You can enjoy it. Dave absolutely smashed it. First 40 minutes, literally the first 40 minutes of this podcast was me and Bataro sitting in silence, just listening.
I'm not gonna lie, I was sitting there going, I was like, oh, yeah, all right, mate, yeah. You keep talking, Dave. You keep talking. One of those ones.
What I found when we were speaking to him, it was just like you're chatting to your mate. He was a really nice guy, and I've never doubted that. And it was a really nice conversation.
It was.
And honestly, the passion he has for our club is unreal. He's a fan like we are as well. He loves it. He loves the club. He loves the fans, and it was fantastic. He's such a good chap.
Like I say, the way he kept going as well, the way he kept talking as well, fantastic.
He holds the football club and the fans in very high regard. And I don't care what you say. We use the word legend.
He is
a legend.
Yeah,
don't miss it. Just don't miss it.
Next Monday evening will be the release day for that. Keep updated on social media. Owen the Town. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in a couple of weeks.